Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Max right here in Southbridge. And it's a beautiful spring day. It just turned Easter yesterday, and the weather's finally starting to turn after the big brutal winter in New England. And I'm here today in Southbridge, honest town, home of Talbot Embroidery, home of the Bunny, home of Dexter Russell Knives, and so many other good things. And Mike's here helping me out. Mike, how you doing?
Pretty good. How are you, Max?
Good. We're going to try something new today. I've never made this before. My new friend Bob made it on Fat Tuesday, and because that's sort of a New Orleans holiday, he made jambalaya. He made it for like 30 or 40 people. And I watched him make a lot of it, actually, and I learned a little bit from him. And since it's something I've never made before, I'm kind of taking a risk here. But I'm going to try it anyway. And I took Bob's recipe, and I went on the internet, and I found 3 or 4 more of them. I kind of took little pieces of information from each and sort of invented as I go. But one of the first things I had to do, and as you can see right here, I have my pressure cooker, because earlier I put nice chicken thighs in there and let them cook for about 1 hour and 10 minutes under high pressure. And I'm going to open it now. We'll see if we get a big thing of steam come out, or if it's cool enough. Get rid of that guy. That's the rocker, and that thing goes like crazy when you're cooking it. Yeah, no, it's pretty well cooled off. And hopefully we turned our thighs into shreddy little meat, and you can see we sure did. Oh, and that looks good. And that's a nice dark meat that we're going to use as one of the ingredients in our jambalaya. We can use shrimp, but I'm not a big fan of shrimp. We're going to put that chicken, and I'm going to pick through and get the skin out and the bones and just use the meat. It's about 1 pound or 1.5 pounds. And then in addition to that, in a one-pan method, and here's our one pan, the challenge of cooking it in one pan, which is our electric skillet that we've used so many times before. And you just assemble it in order. And so not only do you have the chicken, but you also have, I have here, this is andouille sausage. And I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but a lot of you here in Southbridge, you see me around, you can correct me. Maybe it's andouille or some French way to say it. But this is the one I got down to Big Bunny this morning, and it's cayenne, and they call it artisan sausage, but it's got Cajun-style spices and garlic in it. And so those are the kind of things they eat down in New Orleans. And that's the other meat I'm going to put in my jambalaya. And also back here, we have some onion and suntan pepper that you buy at Big Bunny. It's like half red, half green, and because I wanted both, and I got them both in one pepper. And celery. And according to Bob, who is my consultant on this jambalaya, those are the 3 things that you have to have in order to make it authentic, this jambalaya. And all the other stuff is kind of what people prefer. And also in my internet research, I learned that a tomato, and I got a nice red one down at Big Bunny, and if you chop that up, that's important also. And then, of course, you need rice. One recipe called for brown rice and cook it a whole long time, but I went with white rice, 2 cups, and not the 7 cups that my friend Bob cooked, but the 2 cups that I'm going to cook today. And that's what I'm going to use. And at the end, you put that into equal parts water. And from the chicken that I used in the pressure cooker, the liquid that I used was chicken broth. And let's see if I get 4 cups, but if not, I'll just add some. And then the secret ingredient provided by Bob is a bottle of this Dixie beer that comes from a brewery in New Orleans. And that is among the liquids that you're going to add, and that's your secret sauce, so to speak. Now, also in honor of spring, I'm going to make a very simple dessert that my grandmother Bee used to make all the time, which is cornbread. And I've got back there the ingredients for that. And we will bake that in the oven and make the house smell real good. They called it Johnny Cake when she was making it back in the day. So that's what I'm going to call it too. And we're going to bake that up, and with a slab of butter on it, it is heaven on earth. So we're going to pick that chicken apart, get our stuff here ready to start sauteing in our skillet, and start assembling our jambalaya. And we'll be right back. right, we're back now at Cooking with Max in Southbridge, and we're going to start assembling our fancy spicy sausage that I can't pronounce, and we're going to cut that up, and as I talked to you earlier, we're going to assemble it in our skillet that we have right here. And the first step that I'm going to take before I go is add just a little bit of canola oil in there so that my sausage, that's going to be the first thing I cook, doesn't burn. And I'm going to cut it into thin slices, like so, and sort of sear the outside and make sure this gets cooked. And I thought about not using canola oil and just using the oil from this andouille sausage, but I didn't think it would be enough. And sure enough, it looks pretty lean, as you can see. So, but I'm going to put that, let me spread around the canola oil in there a little bit. I put about probably a tablespoon, maybe a little more than a tablespoon. And put those slices on. You can see, and you can hear them. And then I'll put all 4 in there. This recipe called for 8 ounces, Mike.
Really?
Of this sausage, but the packet was 12. And I'm going to add the whole thing. I like sausage. Yeah.
I like kielbasa a little better, I think.
This is, it said you could substitute with kielbasa, but this had the Cajun spice in it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So you were trying to, this was the one you wanted. And I was at Big Bunny and I couldn't find it at first. And then I saw the butcher and I asked him and he showed me this one. They got to be cut all the way though. And so let me get those in there. I'm cutting them about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch so that they cook all the way. And so now we got them all sliced up and they're in our skillet and in that oil and getting singed. Now it's been a long time since my dial on my electric skillet had any numbers on them. They got worn off with time. And it has hot spots, but the beauty of it is I know where they all are. So we're gonna let our sausage, andouille sausage, simmer for a minute over here. And then I'm going to cut up the 3 vegetables that are staple of jambalaya according to Bob, my friend, the jambalaya expert. And that's celery, which I have right here, and it says about 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch slices of it. I've got about 1/2 cup there, and that's all I'm going to put. I'm leaving them in big chunks because it's going to be swimming in stew there with the rice for a while, and we want it to stand up. So there's that. And then I got this one nice bell pepper, the suntan one at Big Bunny, that is green and red because I like both. And let me get that guy out. And we'll cut him up too, the big chunks. So Mike, you won a ham the other day?
I did. I went to the ham shoot at the Romanian church.
Oh, really?
My friend Spiro told me about it.
Oh, is that right? And what do? You enter competition and win somehow?
Well, you raffle. You participate in a raffle. And then it's like 30 raffles in a row. And you get a lot of different chances to win a ham for Easter. And I think they do one in the fall for turkey for Thanksgiving. Oh, sure. Very fitting.
And Spiro does that one too?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all right, let me stir this real quick. You can hear it sizzling away. Oh, that smells good. That sausage is starting to cook now and it looks real good. Getting a little brown on those sides. And we'll get the onion and celery. Well, not the onion yet, that's coming next. Get those in there too. This is a big old Spanish onion that probably more than I really need, but we'll see. Let me get rid of a few of the outer layers then, get the more tender inside part, since we don't need all of it anyway. And I'm going to make him pretty thick, as you can see. Let me cut him up. And that's about maybe a half to 3/4, and that's probably enough onion. Big pieces. Well, maybe not that big. And get these guys out of there. And now, right over here, the wooden spoon, stirring them in, getting the canola oil involved. Now, because these are jambalaya, you can add things like cayenne and paprika and other really spicy stuff, because a lot of people think, let me turn this down a little. A lot of people think New Orleans and they think really spicy, but I have a couple of that Bob gave me. This is Joe's stuff, which is seasoning. It's sort of a jambalaya seasoning, and it's got cumin in it already. I can smell very savory. And I'm just going to add some of this. It's already pre-made for what you're looking for here at jambalaya and any other number of Cajun dishes. And let me just put some right over the top into our saute and start to introduce those flavors right now. You notice I didn't put a whole ton. And this one here is called Blazing Cajun, and that's probably a little spicier. I'm not going to use a ton of it because I'm kind of a lightweight when it comes to the hot stuff. So I'm going to put about a teaspoon of it in there. And that's it. And that's how I flavored our jambalaya right there. I did it right here when I'm sauteing all the stuff. And we're going to cook these veggies until they're starting to get a little glisten on them. Versus really crunchy. And so the chicken meat's already fully cooked, and I'm not adding that yet. I'm going to put that in last after I add the chicken broth. All right, that's looking pretty good. Let me turn them up a little and finish sauteing our veggies and our sausage, our andouille sausage. This is all compost stuff here. We got our compost you saw at the last show, and it's going to fertilize our garden when we grow our sun-dried tomatoes and such, and our cucumbers that we'll look at later on. But this is definitely compost food versus going out in your regular trash. Alright, so that's that. Get back to our guys here. Alright, now the veggies are getting a little glow to them. They're starting to sweat. The sausage is just wonderful looking and smelling. And now that we put that seasoning on there, it's starting to get a little Cajun personality, if you will. Alright, so now we added all those. Oh yeah, there's one thing we forgot. Now, this is a whole tomato that I got down there today. And I got the reddest one I could find because we are going to just fry this amongst our other ones and let it sort of get into sauce like that versus buying a can of sauce like tomato paste and just adding it in there. But what I'm going to do is just give it a rough cut here and put it on in there and break it down as it stirs. And you can see it was a good choice because it's very ripe, which is what I wanted. I wanted it to be good and red so that it will break down and become saucy as I cook it. Alright, and this too is going in there right now. Let me stir that up. Now, to this here, I'm going to add 4 cups of chicken stock. Now, originally I had planned, and this is a change of plan because I've never made it. Originally I had planned to add the chicken stock that came off from my pressure cook of my chicken, thinking that it would have grabbed all that flavor and almost tasted like homemade chicken stock. But what I learned was that it was all fat. It turned a lot of the fat from the chicken dripped down, and I didn't want to use the fat. So I'm going to go with fresh chicken broth. And this is 4 cups of it, and we're pouring it right in here now. And that'll stop the saute, as you can imagine. But it'll turn it into more of a broth overall with all the vegetables and the sausage.
Interesting.
Yeah, so this is what's going to actually perk up our rice later on, which is the last step. So now, there goes our sizzle, huh, Mike?
That changes everything.
Yeah, it does. But now we're going to turn the heat up all the way, and pretty soon this is going to come back to a boil. And when it comes back to a boil, we'll be ready to add our rice and cook for a little bit longer until the rice is puffy and tender just the way we want it. And we'll take a little break right now, clean up, and we'll be right back once this is boiling. All right, we're back now to our jambalaya. It's our soup is simmering with the stuff we added. And let me get rid of this cover now. Woo, nice puff of steam. What a beautiful sight. And all the bubbles in there and looking good. All right, now that it's cooked a little while and had a chance to infuse those flavors together, we're going to start adding some of our secret ingredients. First of all, the Dixie beer right now. Now, the rule of thumb is for every cup of rice that you're adding is 2 cups of liquid. We put 4 cups of the chicken broth, and we're putting another 12 ounces of beer. But this has had a chance to boil down a little bit, so there's really not 4 cups anymore. Plus, there we go. Plus, as with red beans and rice, I'm almost inclined to have it be a little soupier than firmer, than starchier, my rice when it's done. And everybody has their own preference. And plus, since you're going to have a lot here and you're probably going to have leftovers, every time it gets leftover, it gets firmer and drier. So I'm going to start out with a little more water than is called for normally, just because I like it soupy. It won't be too soupy, believe me. We cooked it for a long time. Now to that, we're going to add that chicken thigh that I boiled up in my pressure cooker. We're going to put about 1 pound of that. That's basically shredded chicken. Again, you could put shrimp if you want, but I don't want shrimp. I want chicken. There's about 1 pound.
Did Bob use shrimp?
What's that?
Did Bob use shrimp?
No, he used chicken and sausage just like I did. And he said the same thing, that you could, the recipe I saw on the internet had a whole fish in it. I'm like, wow, that's pretty impressive. But there's no way I'm doing that. So anyway, let me get this going again. I'm going to turn it all the way back up again. And my electric skillet gets pretty hot when I do that. So we'll watch it. But we're going to get that heat back up. We put that beer in there. And yeah, there it is already. The hot middle ring thing. And to that, we're putting our 2 cups of white long grain rice here right in there now. And now, folks, it's just a matter of time. We're going to cook it hard for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to turn it down to a low for about 20-25 minutes and check on it. And if the rice is done, then our jambalaya Nolan special in honor of the end of Easter is also done. So in that light, what we're going to do, Mike, is we're going to put this over here to the side, and we're going to let it cook on its own, and I'll start preparing our cornbread mixture, and we'll put that in the oven too. And we'll be right back. All right, and welcome back to Cooking with Max right here in Southbridge, Massachusetts. And our jambalaya is now over here on a low cook in the back here, as you can see maybe. And it's the rice is coming to a nice boil and all the ingredients and everything's working well. So what we're going to do in the meantime is we're going to assemble our cornmeal. And the first thing we're going to do is add all our dry ingredients together. And those dry ingredients consist of a cup of all-purpose flour, and we have a cup of yellow cornmeal, and we have 2/3 of a cup of whole sugar, and to that we're going to add a teaspoon of kosher salt, and as usual use kosher or sea salt because there's no iodine in it with its bitter flavor. So we're going to eyeball a teaspoon here of kosher salt, right about like that. And now to help with the baking, with the rising, we're going to put 3½ teaspoons of baking powder. And I'm going to eyeball this one here, which is dangerous, folks. But I'm going to do it anyway because I like to live dangerously when I'm baking. So 3½ teaspoons, and try to sift out any little lumps in it too. So that's about, not quite, maybe a little more. Yeah, I'd say that's about 3½ teaspoons. So now I have the dry ingredients for cornmeal. And I picked cornmeal because since jambalaya is sort of a southern dish, I think cornmeal has kind of got its heart in the South too. Like I said, my grandma B, God bless her heart, she passed 2 years ago at the age of 96. She made this cornmeal all the time. She called it Johnny Cake. And I think a lot of that had to maybe had Civil War roots because the Michiganders were part of the North and they referred to the Southerners as Johnny or Rebs. Maybe that's why they call it Johnny Cake, but she made it a lot. And that's what I'm doing here now. So I stirred it a little bit. Let me use my fingies now to get it a little more so. I want to make sure all the salt is distributed in that baking powder. I always do the dries and then we put the wet ingredients afterward when you're baking like this. The oven is preheating to 400 degrees as we speak, behind me. My jambalaya continues to bubble happily along. All right, so let me put my dry ingredients off here. And now to that dry ingredients, I'm going to add 1 beaten egg, which I'm going to do right now. Beat my egg, that is. Clink, clink. See if I can do it without spilling. That would be pretty slick because this is a pretty small bowl. You want to aerate it really good. Like that. That's not bad. I'm going to beat it some more anyway. And then to that, we're going to also have 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil that we're going to add together. Get all that out of there. And then to that, and I'm going to put them both in this big bowl that used to hold my flour, we're going to add a cup of milk. So we'll put the milk in there first. And then we got our oil and our beaten egg. Get them all in there. And now, we got to beat this really well so that all of that blends in really good, including the oil and the egg. Mike, have you ever had cornbread?
I think so. A long time ago, though.
Did I make it for you? Did you have it somewhere else?
I don't think so. I don't remember where I had it.
Out there that you ran into cornbread?
I think it was a long time ago when I was a kid.
Yeah. My grandma B in Manton, she used to make snow pie, which was she'd send you out in the snow in the dead of winter with a bowl. It's a plastic Tupperware bowl, usually. And you'd grab some clean snow and you'd bring it in and she'd put corn syrup or sometimes even syrup, regular maple syrup over it. And that was snow pie. And it was awesome. We used to love going out there and getting that. That was quite the treat. Oop, every time I tip it up to show you, I spill some. All right, I'm done with that, tipping up. All right, that's blended pretty well now. So now, we're going to take our dries and our wets like that. There we go. And let me see if I can use this whisk and stir them in. I don't know if I can. Yeah, it's working okay. I don't want to spill any more of the stuff. I turn it like that and it comes in there like that. So that's our batter for our cornmeal or Johnny cake, as Grammy B would call it, Johnny cake. I don't like this whisk though. That's not working very well at all. I think I'll just use my fork. Yeah, that's better. Now, with red beans and rice, which is another southern dish, and it's similar to this one because it's like a rice-based dish, you could put it over Johnny cake. Like the Johnny cake's firm enough to hold up to that red beans and rice. And I'm wondering if jambalaya, if you could put it right over Johnny cake also. I don't really know. I'm really kind of out of my depth here with this dish I'm doing today. I've never made jambalaya. I've made cornbread before, but when my mom used to make pinto beans with potatoes and bacon bits in it, which was a really inexpensive meal that went a long way, she would make cornbread, and you could put pinto beans over cornbread, and it was good. All right, so that's looking good. Now, the recipe I found on the internet, by the way, at allrecipes.com, I should give props to the people when I take their recipes, called for you to use a 9-inch baking pan. But I thought I'd do something different here. Maureen has these loaves that she has for when she makes Irish bread, and she gives them away as gifts. And I'm thinking I'm going to use them for my cornbread. Now, this is going to be quite the challenge for me to pour this without making a ginormous mess. But I'm going to try. And here I'm going to eyeball this one. All right, that's not too bad. Not too much of a mess there. I hope I didn't put too much in there. Like, how far is it going to rise? That's the question. I'll put less in that one. Wow. I don't want to say I haven't spilled any yet, because then I'll jinx it. But so far, so good.
You think you'll have enough for all 6?
I'm thinking. That's what was kind of a challenge to me. I think I'm closing right in on it. That first one I got a little too much, maybe.
Well, life is just all an experiment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, I still got some here, and I'm going to get all of it. I'm pretty close. And if they're not all the same height, well, they'll probably cook differently, actually. Yeah, I can fix this. I can fix this. I'm going to take some from this guy here. Put him right over there. A little more, put him there. A little from this guy, put him there. A little from this guy, he's too full. I'm going to put him there also. All right, that's pretty close. Tastes like cornbread. Delicious. All right, well, that's pretty good. Let me clean up some of these spots so that they don't burn on our pan. And there it is. And so that looks like about 6 cornbreads to me. I'm going to wipe the bottom right now so I don't burn anything. I'm going to put it in my oven for, I think it said 15 minutes, but I'll check it. And then I'm going to put it in my oven for between 20 and 25 minutes, and I'll check it after about 21 with a fork to see if it comes out clean. And then we'll be right back. All right, folks, that magic time has arrived when our jambalaya, the water, has all been absorbed by that rice, and it is looking good. It's steamed off. I turned it off about 3 minutes ago. I've got a couple of taste testers. I've got Andy to my right. Hey, Andy.
Hey, Dad.
And I've got Mike out there who's got a bowl of it also, and neither one of these guys have ever tried it. So go ahead, Mike, give it a shot.
That's really good, Max.
You like it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Andy, what do you think?
Did Did you get Uncle Mitch to make this?
Oh, stop it now. Did I get... What are you trying to say?
I don't know. His is better.
Oh, that's just hurtful. Well, Uncle Mitch made an omelet that looked like a train wreck, but it did taste good. Well, anyways, that's what it is, folks. This is our first dish. And both of my food tasters said it was good. And so we're going to have a little plate of this, and we're going to wait for our second course, which is our cornbread, which will be along in about 10 minutes. And thanks to both of you for being food critics.
Wait. Before you sign off, Dad, I have something to say.
All right, go ahead.
Shout out to Orlando Casada, my old Trinity Catholic Academy bud. And if you're ever bored or anything, call me.
All right.
We can hang out.
All right. A shout out to Orlando for this summer coming up after their senior year. And we're going to check in on our cornbread in a few minutes, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. And my food critics have left my set now. But my cornbread is just about done. So I'm going to go to the oven right now and take it out. Let me see here. Oh, yeah. Nice and golden brown. I'm going to shut them off right now so I don't forget. And there you go. As you can see, it's nice and golden on top. It did rise up a little bit. I got them more or less even because none of them are much bigger than the other. And so I have 6 individual servings here of Johnny cake. And of course, you know, we're supposed to let them cool off a little bit because they're so hot right now. They're like molten hot. But I can't wait. I mean, my word. I've got a plate here. And on my little plate, I've got a nice, generous dollop of butter, and I also have something that Granny me only on special O's, or when she really wanted to prove that she loved you, would include. And I can't wait anymore, as you can tell. I'm just chomping at the bit to cut one of these right now. Oh, we might be able to get it out of there without having to visit Harrington Memorial Hospital's emergency room because of a burn. If we can do that, Mike, we're ahead of the game.
I'm excited for this. This is just regular old cornbread, huh?
Yeah, pretty much, but I'm going to... Oop, oh, I broke it up a little.
I'm a very plain type of person when it comes to food.
Not perfect on it, but you know, it's close enough. It'll be easier when it's cooler, but I wanted to get a piece out there and try it now. So what we have here is like that. Let me put this butter on there, and that will cool the bread off a little. And it's going to melt, and it's going to be so tasty. I'm going to move this guy over. And there it is. Still a little too hot to eat.
What are you putting on it?
I've got right here some Spring Tree 100% pure all-natural maple syrup. This particular one is a grade A dark amber. Dark amber meaning darker in tone. Has an underbite. It's beautiful. And so many of these around here, these maple syrup farms. So this is the Granny B La Piece de Resistance. She would put this on snow and call it snow pie. But for very special O's, you had a piece of Johnny cake with the butter and the maple syrup. You could skip dinner and go right to this because it was so incredible. If I can get a piece. Wow. Just like Granny. Well, that's it then. We made some delicious jambalaya, and we made some cornbread, and I put syrup and butter on it. It was good. Now, Mike, many times you've done my show, and I know one of the favorite things you've ever had, and you've said it before, and it was something I just sort of invented, was that Greek burger.
Absolutely.
You liked that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The show's over, but I bought some ground beef and some cheese and black olives, and I'm going to make you a Greek burger just because you're such a sport.
Really?
Putting this, yeah, I got it right over here. So we're going to add a little adjunct. It wasn't really planned as part of the show, But we're going to go ahead and add a little something just for Mike.
Max, it's been years since you've cooked a Greek burger.
Well, you think you can film me outside cooking on the grill? You might as well, right?
I would
Since
love
we're making
to.
it anyway.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're going to clean up here and we'll get right back up with a little additional Cooking with Max, a Greek burger for Mike, who loved it the first time I made it. We'll be right back. All right, we're back again as promised here, Cooking with Max in Southbridge, and Mike's little treat, the extra thing we're going to make, which is the Greek burger. And I have right here about, I don't know, maybe 3/4 to a pound of ground round. And to that, for this very simple burger that we made up the other day and Mike loved, we're going to add some Spanish onion. And unlike the jambalaya, which I cut at pretty big pieces, we're going to have them smaller for this one. I had one round wheel of it left over from the jambalaya that I saved out. And so there we go. Still a little lumpy, but that's enough. And we're sort of eyeballing it. Didn't actually write it down. Mike had to remind me what was in it.
Yeah, what is it? Feta, black olives, and...
Onion?
Yeah.
I think so. So here's black olives, and I'll put a few in here. Although, yeah, we'll try that. And then we went down and we got some feta cheese. And we're going to put a generous portion of that in there too.
A lot of my friends like feta cheese.
Feta's good. It's nice and dry. I try to get smaller pieces, like some of the shavings on the bottom. I got plenty of big lumpy pieces. All right then. So that's all there is to it right there. I'm just going to dump the whole stuff right out here on the table to help me try to knead it in there without breaking up stuff too bad. And that's it. Look at it. It's like a lumpy
That's
meatloaf.
more than one hamburger.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Oh, no. This is not one burger. That's a good call, Mike. You're right about that. You'd be one very hungry human being to want to eat all this. Now, we're just going to get all that stuff in there sort of evenly. No, we're going to divide it up into probably 4 equal parts and make 4 burgers. And so I'll do that right about now. Get rid of that. So this is probably about half. And then this is probably about half. And then here. And these are probably a little more than a 1/4 pound each. All right, so we're going to make one. And it's got stuff in it. Take our spatula, put it over here. And our next one, same dealio. And there it is. So, Mike, does it look familiar?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the best burger I ever had, I swear.
Wow, I don't know. I guess so. This one's a little small, but... Anyway, there you go. I probably could have made 3, but I made 4. So there they are, Mike. And we'll run them out there on the grill and sear them on either side. And we'll have you a nice Greek burger the way you like them.
Thanks, man.
We'll meet you out there on the grill. All right, Mike, so here we are outside my house on Newell Ave in Southbridge. And you remember a couple weeks ago we were looking at the little spot I have for my garden. And I started digging along here to start turning over the soil. And I left off here. And when I was doing it the other day, I would get worms, earthworms. Oh, look at, there's one right there. Look at that big beauty. Can you see him? No,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna move.
There's a ton of them.
Yeah, look, there's another one right there. There's another one there. And I do that whole thing. I had like 30 or 40 of them. And as you can imagine what we're gonna do with these, Mike, these things are perfect for my composter. So I've got 3 right here, and let's go add them to my composter right now. All right, and just 2 weeks later, look how much more like dirt it looks. And we'll put these little guys right in there among the 40 or so that I've already added. And in a few more weeks, along with the Coca-Cola that I added earlier, it'll be a nice tidy mush of fertilizer. All right, Mike, so now we're going to add your special Greek burgers to our hot grill. These are so, ooh, look at that. These are so tender in that they fall apart if you're not careful like that one did. That one came out okay. That one and that one. All right, we'll cook them on hot and then we'll check in like 3 minutes and they should be starting on their way to searing that side. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, now we're gonna check back. It's been a few minutes. Oh yeah, they're looking good. You see the blood coming to the top. I can smell some melted feta. And I'm gonna get him off of there and give him a little quarter twist so we get a nice even cook. Now this one that I broke, let's see if I can get it without breaking it anymore. Oh, that was okay. All right. All right, we're back again with our Greek burgers for Mike, and Cheto's here. He smelled them from down the street, and
I smelled the aromas of the burgers, and I couldn't help but come check it out, Max.
well, it was a good move on your part because there's a few extra Chetos, you can see.
Awesome.
Do you like all the stuff that's in them? You like the olives and onion and feta?
I love everything that's in that burger.
Do you? Oh, good. Good deal. All right, well, we're going to let them close and wait another 2 minutes, and they should be done. All right, these are done now, Mike. They do smell good. They don't behave as well as a regular burger, but those ones are all right. All right, we'll take them in the kitchen and let you chow down. So one fun thing I'm doing this summer, Mike, is I'm being dropped off by the lovely Maureen and Andy, who are on their way to Tennessee via Virginia, and they're going to drop me off on Skyline Drive and put me out in the woods with a backpack for 5 days of hiking, which is, you can see on here, you see big meadows and skyland. I'll be going through those. I'll be starting a little bit south and going up this little piney stretch of the Appalachian Trail. I've done it before, and it's kind of forgiving. You still get hills and cutbacks and stuff, but I'm really psyched about it. Every time I do it, I enjoy it. Even though you're sleeping outdoors and you get a little gritty, the fourth day I'll be in a hotel, and the shower is going to be awesome. And somebody waiting on me with a beer and a plate of nachos is going to be real good, too. All right, we're back in my kitchen now, and I've got Mike's burgers, his Greek burgers, which I just hope he loves as much as he did the first time, and just special for him for helping out with this show. And the show is done now. We made jambalaya, which came out really well, considering it was the first time I ever made it. Cheto's eating. Cheto, how is that jambalaya?
Absolutely amazing.
Good, huh?
Absolutely great.
All right, good.
I can't stop eating it.
Oh, well, hey, we got plenty. I used 2 cups of rice. And then we also made the cornbread, which Granny called Johnny Cake, and I ate it with butter and syrup because it's just beyond good. And just because I felt like making an extra little special something, I made these Greek burgers. And that's it. And so thanks for watching, and we'll be back on again sometime when the spirit moves us. And until then, Southbridge, it was good talking to you, and thanks for watching Cooking with Max right here in Southbridge, Massachusetts.
don't you talk in your quiet voice?
Hello, friends. We're doing a cooking show, and sometimes there's little asides that people find interesting when you're doing cooking shows. Like there might be little secrets of food and the world that you can learn just by listening.
Hold on, I'm gonna need to move this up one.
Sometimes people make things up too. People might tell you a story about fairies or fae people of the Northwoods, and just because they say it with enough conviction doesn't make it so.
Speak more?
I mean, there's gypsies and then there's gypsies, right? But if you ever see a true gnome, then you better start believing.
All right. Now talking to your loud voice, like whoa!
All right.
Like,
Whoa! What a pot full of chicken we got right here, folks! Look at the steam coming off. Oh my! It's been cooking like that. It's nice and hard boiled in our pressure cooker. And I know you're saying to yourself, why did he do that? Why did Max in Southbridge cook up 3 pounds of chicken thighs with bone in his pressure cooker? And the answer would be because he's going to use it to make jambalaya. Hello? Nothing. We're filming right now. We came to an end though when the phone started ringing, so
who's that?
we're in the middle of filming. He's in the other room, hanging out.
Can I have this? Hey, when we come back over here, you gotta do that some more so I have more footage of worms.
Oh, you want more worms?
Yeah, I want to be able to
Oh, wait
get
a minute, then let's just do a few right now.
Okay.
I'll get even more. Yeah, no problem.
Because I said there's so many.
Yeah, that's true. All right, you ready? All right, so
Yeah.
we'll just pick it up. All right, so we'll just put those right there and see if we can find some more, Mike. Oh, not that one. But you got to do this for the soil anyway because you want to make sure that it aerates real well. And your roots can breathe and all that. Up there's a wormy right there. Put him over here with the other guys. So I've now buried. Here's one. Shh, be quiet. Here's another one. So we got quite a few. I'm just excited about the earthworms. I mean, it's hard to imagine that an earthworm would make you so happy. But knowing full well that they're going to go into your compost and make the most wonderful fertilizer available to you, and it's going to cost you nothing, and you get that all over glow knowing that you help to keep stuff out of the landfill, is a good thing.